Charlie and Molly here, this is their roadmap to success. The big problem really here is with Charlie, not so much with Molly. Molly has a pretty nice energy. Charlie is just really stressed out, and I think he was stressed out because he thinks that he's in charge of the humans. He doesn't have any rules, really neither dog has any rules. They don't know any commands, as we talked about in the other video. And so Charlie's decided that his job is to be in charge of security and to let people who come in the house know that he disagrees with them being there. Now, he bit me a couple hours ago, and now he's pretty chill. So for him, it's just that threshold, and I think it's related to the excitement of people coming through the door. The excitement makes it hard for him to listen. Plus, he thinks that he's in charge, and the humans aren't listening to him. That makes him more stressed out. So we did a couple things during the session. Obviously, we went over the basic commands. I would like there's 2 kids in the house. I'd like the kids to alternate. We should focus on the basic commands first. Once we get a week or 2 past, I'd like the kids to alternate on Sunday or Monday. We go to YouTube, they find a trick, and they teach one of the children teach both dogs one trick. All week long, we practice that trick. The next week, the other child teaches both of them. That's going to help the dogs. They don't have a problem respecting their guardians, I don't think, but they don't respect them as authority figures. Just like us, if somebody teaches us a new skill, we have a little bit of respect for them. And so that should help. But it's also going to be more important to boost their self-esteem because now they feel a sense of pride. And we have things that we can redirect them and ask them to do to pet them. Petting with a purpose is going to be very important, especially for Charlie here because he likes to mark. Now he's marking. Marking is not an accident. It's not a lack of potty training. He thinks that he needs to pee on everything to let the guest know that comes in that there is a sheriff in town because he thinks the humans are too relaxed because they don't have any rules. So we talked about rules to incorporate. One of the rules is no furniture. We're breaking that rule right now, but we need to have a couple dogs for this roadmap to success video. But after this, not being allowed the furniture for a minimum of 30 days or as long as the problem continues. And then after that, only with permission. Remember, the dog gets up on the couch, say off once. If it doesn't get off, put your hand firmly behind its butt and push it firmly to the edge of the couch or the chair, but not off completely. We want the dog to feel like it's going to fall off so it jumps off on its own. Good boy. See, even I say good boy. We want to avoid saying good boy or good dog. Instead, we're going to use passive training. So every time the dog sits, we're going to pet it and say the word sit. Every time the dog comes to us, we're going to pet it and say the word here. Every time that it lays down, we're going to pet it and say chill or whatever the word the family would like to use. After we do that enough, the dog will anticipate getting that reward when they hear the command word and be more inclined to want to do that. And it also gives the dogs a set of things that they can do to help to impress the humans or make them happy. Right now, I don't think they know how to do that. And that's, I think, part of why Charlie acts the way that he does. So that's petting with a purpose and passive training. I'd like to also use the escalating consequences to disagree with unwanted behaviors. So the first thing we do is we hiss. Second thing we do is stand up abruptly, turn to face the dog, and keep your belly button pointed at the dog until the dog is stationary. As soon as the dog stands, sits, or lies down, we take 2 steps backwards away from the dog to tell the dog, I appreciate you no longer challenging me. And you communicate that you're not challenging me by staying still. The third consequence is to march directly at the dog until the dog turns sideways to you. Unless the dog is in a designated no dog zone, then I would continue marching at the dog until it's outside of that zone. The fourth consequence is to put the dog in a leash timeout, step on the leash about 3, in this case, about a foot away from their head, wait for the dog to sit. When it sits, we slide the leash towards them. And as soon as we don't tell them to sit. And as soon as they lay down, which we, again, don't tell them to do, as soon as they lay down, we take our foot off the leash very suddenly. Now, the dog's still on the leash, and when it walks away, it's going to be dragging the leash. That's dangerous, unsupervised. So we only allow that to happen in our purview. But if a couple minutes later, the dog behaves well, we take the leash off, and now it has freedom. But if it continues doing it, then as it runs by, especially for Charlie, if he runs to attack someone's foot, we step on the leash as he runs by. It provides us a little bit more of a safeguard to protect our guests from getting nipped, and also allows us to reapply the consequence. We keep on doing that until he's calm and balanced and stops challenging, then the leash comes off. When guests come over, what I'd suggest is a multi-pronged approach. First of all, there's a little area right over here, we don't have to pan, but the guardian knows where I'm pointing, right away from the door. So what I would do is I would have the guardian have a high value treat, get up and walk towards the door in a calm time of day when there's no distractions, nobody's at the door. Take like 2 steps off the carpet, and Charlie's going to be right there with her. Let Charlie see the treat, put it in front of his nose, then turn around and toss it on the carpet right there. As soon as Charlie touches it with his mouth, we're going to say the word place or spot or whatever the word you want to assign for that command is. And then we're going to come back over here, grab another treat, and repeat the process. This time we're 1 inch further closer to the door. We're going to do this a whole bunch. This is going to not be just a one-time deal. We're going to have to practice this a lot. We want to practice it so often without any distractions that when we say place or spot, he runs that place anticipating getting a treat. Now, the other way that you could do it is if Charlie's not paying attention, we can just grab one of the treats and just toss it to the place and just observe. Don't say anything. Charlie eventually, I smell chicken liver. And then let him find it on his own. When he finds it, the second he touches it with his lips, say the word place. The more we do that, the easier it's going to be to move him there when we need to. Now, in the meantime, because he is still a nip risk, what I would suggest the guardian do is get a leash, and I would get a chain leash, run it through the handle like I'm doing here to create a lariat. We would put this around the post to the chair that's behind where the camera is now. And I would probably wrap it around the chair a couple times. So Charlie only has like this much room. He can't even make it off the carpet. So then when somebody comes to the door, we go over to where Charlie is, put him on the collar, and then instead of picking him up and carrying him, we hook the collar and we kind of bring him with us over to where this is. We attach it to his collar, then we go answer the door. We can move Molly away from the door the way I demonstrated. If you want to figure out how to do this without using a leash, if you go to doggoneproblems.com at the top of the page, if you click on dog training tips, on the left side of the page when you're looking at it right here, there's a search box. Type in door exercise. I've got about 100 videos that show this technique. Right now we have an open floor plan. These guys don't even know the most basic of commands, so it's too advanced for them to do at this point. But once the dogs know those commands, that's going to open a whole Pandora's box of a lot of good things. But for right now, we want to make sure that Charlie is blocked from accessing the door. And when guests come in, they just can simply stay further away than the leash will allow to prevent him from nipping and biting. The more that he nips and bites, the more he will continue to nip and bite. We also want to remember that petting the dogs, whatever the dog's doing when we pet them, is what we're rewarding. So if Charlie's barking at someone, we're like, it's okay, Charlie, relax. Charlie thinks I'm being petted because I'm trying to bark and bite at this person. So the better thing to do is redirect, maybe put a treat in front of his mouth and turn and throw it on the place. Or if we taught him to sit, ask him to sit or to lie down, or one of the commands that he knows. Let's see. Petting with a purpose is going to be really important for him especially, because we can't continue to pet him for no reason, especially when he demands it. So we need to really, the guardians, I really want them to place a premium the first week to teaching the dogs how to sit, lay down, or chill, and then to go from a lay down into an up position. Also to practice the come exercise where we replace the word come, because most people in the family say come here, some people say other words. We're just going to now say here. So we're going to have everybody in a triangle about 10 feet apart. Make sure when you're holding your arm out, you can be facing the dog, but you want a 45-degree bend at the elbow like here, and I want my forearm parallel with the floor. So I say here once. If the dog does not respond, they make a kissing sound like this. Now they're both tired, but normally dogs will look. As soon as the dog looks, take your hand and start lowering it down to the ground. I like having a treat in a hand like this with a slightly cup, so as I lower it, I can start raising my fingertips to let them not see what I have in my hand. When you do this, make sure you have a treat in your hand for the first whole bunch of times, like 100 or so times that you do it, so that this looks like, oh my God, they have a treat. I'm going to run over and see what they have going on. I'm going to pay attention to them. The more that we do that, then we're, again, creating a vocabulary where we can direct the dogs and teach them what we want them to do. But for him, because he marks, we're going to limit his access to the house unless he's supervised. He doesn't mark unless he's out of our eyesight. So while this is going on, we're going to have to cordon off parts of the house, and he's not going to have access to it. This is just a temporary partition. Now, once he knows how to sit, then no one in the family should pet him under any circumstances unless he does something to earn it. Either sits or lays down. So this is going to be really important. It's going to be hard for the humans to do because, we got dogs, we want to pet them, we want to love them. But for him, every time we pet him, I think until he has that perception change from leader to follower, if we pet him, he thinks we're reinforcing all the things that we don't want. So once he understands that I can't tell the humans what to do, I have to ask. Not only do I have to ask, but I have to pay for my attention, and I pay through obedience. After a while, when Charlie gets to the point where he starts coming and sitting in front of you to ask for attention, that's when you're getting close to where you want to go. At that point, then you could pet him a little bit without not saying without a purpose, but if you want to pet him and he's there, you can do it, but it's always best to pet him, to ask him to sit or to lay down or to come before you pet him. He needs to learn that this is not his house. The humans are just nice enough to let him be here, but he is no longer, his duties of bouncer are no longer required. Now, he's not going to give up that job easily. He's going to continue to do it. That's why tethering him while we answer the door and practicing answering the door will be helpful. So it's best if we have the guardians, the members of the family, call or text one another when they're coming home. So they can ring the doorbell and play the part of a guest, and we can answer the door without the excess baggage that comes with us knowing that a real guest is hearing our dog's bark, and we don't want people to think we have a mean dog. So when we do it, again, you can search for door exercise. There's a lot of examples of it on my website that'll kind of teach you how to do it. We've been free feeding the dogs, the guardians have been. And that is a real easy thing to add a little bit of structure to help the dogs build up more respect for us. Dogs spend 90% of their time in the wild looking for food. And they do not leave food out and about. So if Charlie gets up to his turn to eat after he's with a pack of wild dogs and he's ranked 5th, he goes, I'm not quite hungry yet. I'm going to go lay out in the sun a little bit and I'll come back and eat later. When he comes back later, his food is gone because the dog behind him is going to eat it. So by simply having dominion over the food and the human eating first, then we let whichever dog is calmest eat next. And as soon as that dog walks away from the bowl, we pick up the bowl, we dump the rest of the food back in the bag, and we put that bowl down, and we do this without sympathy. Anytime the dog walks away from the bowl, that's their dog's way of saying, I'm done. Now, they don't initially mean that because normally there's food there left all the time. But if we start doing that and adding that consequence to it, then eventually the dog's like, I'm just going to sit here and eat until all the food's gone or until I'm full, because if I walk away, when I come back, there's no food left, and I won't be able to eat again until the next meal. That's a real simple one that goes a long ways. So to sum up, make sure that we teach sit, chill, up, and come. That should be the thing that we work on the most for the next week. By the end of the week, if you're practicing enough, they both kind of figured it out here. They should both be able to do that on command. Once that's the case, then I would try to pet them both only for doing things that we want, and especially for Charlie if he demands it. Also, there's nothing wrong with pulling out a treat. Right now, the dogs are competing for attention. Well, we can get them to compete to be obedient by pulling out one treat and say, come. Excuse me, in this case, where I say here. I say here, whoever comes first gets the treat. Whoever comes second doesn't get anything. After a while, the second dog will be like, why is he always getting the treat? And Molly will start coming faster. And eventually they'll both come at the same time. Then we can both give them a treat at the same time. But there's nothing wrong with rewarding the behavior that we want, which is basically a part of passive training and petting with a purpose. All right, I'm sure I'm leaving some things out, but the guardians should know that they can always call me if they have questions. Texting me is going to be the fastest way to go about it. But I don't care if it's a month from now or 6 months from now or 2 years from now, I'm available. Make sure you reach out to me. Usually I can help with a phone call without needing to come back a second time. All right, that's the roadmap to success for Charlie and Molly. Remember, everything that you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.